Hello and welcome to week 13 here in Psychology Seminar, and we are going to be looking at continuing lesson 17 and venturing into the world of 21st century skills. Now, the thing to understand about this particular phrase is 21st century skills comes from research that was conducted by psychologists and educators and others interested in finding out what do employers want from their employees in order to be successful in a modern workplace. Now, it used to be that technology wasn't changing so fast that whatever you were learning in school could be very pertinent to what you're going to be learning and doing in the workplace. That, however, is no longer the case. Technology and changes in the workplace and changes in the way our society works come at a very rapid pace. So the notion of having a skill set moving out of, let's say, high school into the workforce or moving from college into the workforce is really secondary to an individual who has the skills to be able to adapt to changing environments. And businesses themselves of all kinds reflect this. Now, of course, there are specific skills that you get in nursing or line work or whatever, but even then, once you enter into those fields, if you become a nurse or if you become a psychologist or you become a line worker, the technology is going to change. The individual who knew how to climb poles is now having to work for a company that's burying all the lines. They have to be able to translate what they knew in that from their original education into a new way of doing things. Now, the skills that they looked for are outlined in the actual chapter, so in the actual lesson. So let's take a look at a little slideshow I have for you here. The first set of skills that we're looking at is learning skills. These are skills related to taking what you know, taking what you don't know, and combining them into new knowledge. And the critical things that you need there, of course, critical thinking. Now, critical thinking is the ability to look at different options, weigh them out, and then come to a decision in terms of how to move forward. Be able to criticize, not in a negative way, but in an intellectual, into a logic way, using our cognition to be able to decide what's the best course of action. The next one, creativity, being able to come up with novel solutions to a particular situation. Novel meaning new, being able to take different ideas and put them together into something that is new and a different way of doing things. Collaboration, of course, working with others, being able to bring in, that's certainly part of the idea of critical thinking and creativity, coming in and working with other people, getting those ideas and positions of leadership, positions of followership, delegation, working with individuals as a group in order to solve a common problem. And finally, of course, good communication skills that allow you to pull all this together, to communicate effectively with people, to answer and ask good questions and provide good instructions. So this is the learning skills part of 21st century skills. We move on here to life skills. Now, these are ones related to how you actually manage your life and the social balance between your work life and your non-work life. And certainly, people are looking for flexibility. They're looking for ability to work at different times, to work under different situations, different circumstances, because those will change. Where are your leadership skills? Kind of relates to communication, what we're talking about in learning skills, but this relates to specifically you having the ambition, the take charge, the initiative to move forward with plans and whatnot, and we'll see how that directly relates right here to initiative. And these two right here actually combined to create productivity. Are you getting things done? Are you just standing around? No, they want people who get things done, go the extra mile, etc., etc. And then finally, of course, social skills. The ability to create positive social relationships in and outside of the workplace. And finally, we look at literacy skills. Now, usually we think about reading when we think about literacy. However, 3 different kinds. Literacy in terms of reading is assumed, but we want to have information literacy, media literacy, and technology literacy. Information literacy is how do we consume information? There's lots of information that is coming in. How do we use critical thinking skills in order to discern what it is we should be paying attention to and what we shouldn't be paying attention to? Media literacy, ensuring that we don't get caught up in the things that are going on. What are the good sources of information? What are the poor sources of information? And finally, technology. Being able to use advanced computer technology for communication, computation, writing, and all of the other aspects of using computers. These are vital skills that everyone is looking for. In fact, as I designed the psych program, the reason why this stuff is in here, I try to make sure that in the delivery of this program, just looking at technology, that you have to use some portable apps, that you have to use some computer programs, that you have to use a computer to submit papers, that you have to, a lot of this is kind of a done deal, but just the necessity for you to master those skills is going to give you that much more success in the workplace. In fact, it will enhance your workplace to the point that as we're moving toward a more, or let me just say, a less sort of centralized workplace, we're moving almost to as many of our jobs, even within mental health and psychology, many people are moving into jobs where they're more entrepreneurs, even though they might be teaching for a college. Something they're acting more as entrepreneurs. So there's lots and lots of independence coming to the workplace. That's one of the trends that I see happening. And certainly it's a trend that can be very enjoyable and very satisfying and different than just simply having a job. So there we go. So for this particular part of lesson 7, you are writing a paper. So you're going to write a paper, and let's take a look at that, how that actually looks in the instructions here. This is the course, and if I go to content and I go to lesson 7, going in, you can see this is the replication of those things that I just went through here. That's next week. Come down here, and here's lesson 7 assignment. This is the outline right here. So you have the title page. You cover learning skills, literacy skills, life skills. For each skill, document as best you can your current proficiency, and then in addition, you will describe deficiencies. What do you need to work on? So it's what are you good at? What are you going to work on? What are you good at? What are you going to work on? What are you good at? What are you going to work on? I'm looking for some deep introspection here. Part of studying psychology is know thyself, to be able to look at your own skill set and say, okay, first, to be able to recognize what you are good at and give specific examples, almost as if I was giving you an interview. So you might say, or I might say, if I was giving you an interview, tell me a time when you've been flexible. Come up with that. Do that. Have those things ready. Those are what employers are looking for when they're doing interviews. Well, give me some times when you've taken initiative, when you've done leadership. Looking here and going through our learning skills. Tell me a time where you were part of a collaboration, and how did that go for you, and what role did you play? These are the kinds of questions you get in jobs now. They don't really care whether you have, and increasingly, they might not care about specific experience that you have, because they might have their own way of doing something, but they will ask about these generic 21st century skills. Are you good at collaboration? Tell me when you've been creative on the job. If you had 2 ways to go on something, how would you decide which way to go? All of these things are touching on these points of 21st century skills. You could actually go through each one of these, write out questions that you think measure each one of these things, and those would be the most commonly asked questions in an interview. So very, very good stuff to have. So use this paper as a way to really think deeply about this, about maybe each one of these. I'm asking you to do learning skills, as a category. Do it for every one of them. Do it for critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication. Do it for each one. And this not only gives you the language that you can use to answer those questions, but it might be able to pinpoint some areas where you want to become more developed, do some self-development on, do some research on, watch some videos, read some good books about each one of those topics to develop your skill set. These will carry you very far, these alone. So when people have asked me about the associates in psychology degree, is first and foremost, it prepares people to continue their education to get a bachelor's degree, and the bachelor's degree prepares people to continue their education to get a master's and beyond. Now, that's where the jobs are, is the master's and beyond. But I will say that at the level of the associate's degree, what we do address are these skills. These fundamental skills that are applicable across the board are things that I try to create in this program so that when you walk out, you have some concrete examples. Creativity, leadership, technology literacy, information literacy, all of those things, you have examples of that. And this is the start of that process, the introspection into where your skill set is right now. So it's a very, very kind of, even though it's just a part of this program, and I really don't necessarily assess and measure these things the way I outlined measuring the APA outcomes and the value rubrics. This area right here is what's going to build your resume in this program, is being able to document your ability to accomplish each one of these skills. Use this as a working document, something that you would have, maybe even attach it to your resume. Examples of all of these. I would be impressed by that if I got that as part of a resume. All right, so that's it for this week. Enjoy that assignment. Do try to get outside. It's beautiful out there. And I will see you in the discussions. No, there is no discussion. Sorry, I won't see you in the discussions. I'm just going to look forward to this paper. So take care.